Wrong way. What's up, boys and girls? Just got done with a 45-minute bike and a shower. And I got about 30 minutes until I have to go to lifting here in a second. So I figured I'd hop on and say what's up to y'all. And I don't know. Talk about something. Talk with you guys about something. I will say, just got done eating a little meal real quick. What do we got here? What do we have? MegaFit, 6 ounces of chicken, 417 calories, 58 grams of protein, 36 grams of carbs, which I actually probably cut into a third because I took out some of the, probably 2/3 of the sweet potato, 5 grams of fat. I added some of my own fat, Tessemae's dressing, avocado, which is avocado oil. I had some coconut oil, and I also had an avocado. So I'm kind of in the point now where I am upping up the fats and dropping down the carbs, which actually was probably something I wanted to talk to you guys about because I also just really started to see my weight shift. A solid like 5 pounds over the last couple days. Part of that is because I'm doing some extra cardio. But part of that is just because it's not that people don't do the right things, it's that they don't do the right things for long enough. So what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Whenever I get into training camp, I start eating perfectly, start sleeping perfectly, supplementing perfectly, which I supplement perfectly pretty much all the time, but I really obviously put a huge emphasis on it whenever I really start into a training camp and I know I have a fight booked with an opponent. But as I said, it's not that people don't do the right things, it's that they don't do the right things for long enough. And it took me a solid 4 weeks of training camp to really start seeing crazy results. So you need to ask yourself, if I do the right things for a week, is that enough to see really ridiculous results? Well, maybe not. If I do the right things for 2 months, is that long enough? I don't know. It depends on your industry. Depends on your goals. Depends on your field goals, your field goal posts that you're trying to hit. For me, I know my goal is to make 155 pounds on November 5th, which is the day before the fight, the day of weigh-ins. And it took me a solid 3-4 weeks to really get into a groove to where I really feel like my body fat is lowering. See the certain abs, certain striations, veins, those kind of things, all the different markers and things that I can see visually that says, okay, Michael, you're doing the right things. But day in and day out, it's the constant doing of the things, the small disciplines without seeing any results, just knowing that they are a means to an end, and the end goal, having the end goal in sight is always paramount. But it took me a solid couple weeks to really kind of start seeing those results. So I just wanted to get on and encourage you guys that it's not that you're not doing the right things, which some of you are, some of you aren't. Some of you think you are, but you're actually not. Some of you think you're working hard, but you're actually not. You're not putting in enough work that is required. That is the prerequisite to the success or the goals that you're trying to have. But it's not that you're not doing the right things. It's just that you're not doing the right things for long enough. In this get rich quick 15 minutes of fame, anybody can get rich on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube world that we live in. We all want the results now. We want the likes now, the money now, the platform now, the attention now. And a lot of times that happens because of the world that we live in. But when it comes down to things that can't be altered by the internet or altered by instant gratification, i.e. your fitness goals, i.e. your diet, your workout goals, your workout plans, even the changing of your mind, the building up of your mindset, these things take time. These things often take a lot longer than you want them to be. They take a lot longer than you think they should because you've already, with your goals, and I think we all make the mistake, well, when I set this goal, I'm also going to set a time on it. And that's one of the things that how we measure goals. I think it's very important to limit on it. You tell yourself at what time you want to reach what goal, and that goal must be a yes or a no. Either I made it or I didn't make it, when really they're a lot more fluid than you think. And truthfully, a lot of the timelines are a lot more fluid than you think. So staying in that vein, see if we got any questions on here. Poirier or Oliveira? I'm taking Poirier in this one. Obviously, as a fighter, it's no secret when you lose to somebody, you want to see that fighter go on and win and do well. But when I'm thinking as an analyst, I think Poirier wins that fight. I think he's just as well versed, but I think he's got a little bit more power. I think he's got better cardio, better championship mentality going into those later rounds if they go there. How do you know that you're working hard enough? Great question. Double downage. No. You never really know, but there should be freedom in never knowing how much is enough. Your coaches can tell you, hey, this many reps or this many minutes or this many rounds. You definitely need to do those and then make a decision based upon when you get done. Was that enough? Was that too much? Was it just right? Obviously, being an athlete, being inside wrestling rooms and now mixed martial arts gyms, governed by and coached by different leaders, different coaches. There's times where I questioned, hey, that's not enough. I got more in the tank. Let's do it. Or I questioned, hey, man, a little bit run down. I think 25 rounds of this was just way too much. We did a little too much. Hey, can we take it easy tomorrow to get my body back to where it needs to be? But the overarching question of how do you know if you're working hard enough? I think the question is compare your hard work and your time spent to the peers around you, the people in your industry. I mean, I know myself. I know I'm putting in extra work more than most of the people that I'm around in my gym. I know I'm doing more than is what is asked of me by my coaches. So that's how I use that as a predictor of the gauge of whether or not I'm working hard enough. But truthfully, it does go back to my first point that working hard isn't enough. Belief in yourself, having the right plans, the right systems, the right stuff in place to be able to see through to your goal and reach your goal is of vital importance. And then always err on the side of caution. Always err on the side that I need to be working harder. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a guy who works as hard as I do, throws himself into the fire as much as I do, gets himself outside of his comfort zone as much as I do, but yet I still wake up every morning thinking that I got a lot more work left to do, and I'm excited about that work. That I have a lot more left to accomplish, that I have a lot more left to prove to myself, a lot more fruit that needs to be born of and bared from the gifts that I've been given. So you never quite know if you're working hard enough. All I know is you should err on the side of caution and just work harder. Be the hardest worker in the room, or at least think that you're trying to be. So what we got here? What fitness routine would you advise to a beginner? Well, it depends on what your goals are. Obviously we're sticking with the vein of goals. What are your goals? Do you want to get bigger, faster, stronger? Do you want to get more jacked? Do you want to get more in shape? Do you value endurance over strength? Do you value power over agility? It's really hard, but I've been doing a lot of biking. I like the stationary bike. I have a watt bike in my garage. I love doing all my MMA training, obviously running, which is something that a lot of people don't like to do. And a lot of people make excuses and say, well, my back, my feet, my knees, my hips, I just can't run. I think is very much a cop-out because I think most people can run. It's just that they choose not to because A, it's hard, and B, when they do run, they wake up the next morning with sore ankles, sore calves, sore knees, and they think that is they've made the permanent decision that running is not good for them based upon the temporary emotions or the temporary feelings of what it felt like the day after they ran. I can tell you guys this. I've been doing nothing. As I said, I've been doing nothing but being an athlete since I was 14 years old. 21 years of pounding the proverbial pavement as well as pounding the actual pavement in runs. And I can tell you this, when I take a couple weeks off of running, when I'm in between training camps or I'm just doing heavy MMA training, so I'm not getting a lot of running in, even me, My well-conditioned feet, knees, ankles, hips, calves, extremely well-conditioned, more conditioned than probably anybody on here, I still get sore because it is a movement that is foreign to what I had been doing. So just rest in that today, knowing that if you go for a run, you're probably going to be a little bit sore. Second time you run, you're going to be a little bit less sore. Third time you run, you're going to be even a little bit less sore. It's almost going to be non-existent. And then when you stay on a consistent path of running, you're going to stop getting sore because your body is going to be used to it. God created our bodies to adapt, to mold, to evolve into whatever motions we are putting them in. Same thing with working out. If you are a sedentary person who sits at a desk 9 to 5 all day long, or editing videos, or doing something pretty sedentary, diet's not great, first time you work out, you're going to be extremely sore. You're not going to be able to walk. You're not going to be able to reach up and scratch your head, and you're going to think, well, that sucks. I'm not going to do that anymore. When really, after the second, third, fourth, fifth workout, week 1, week 2, you start to realize your body doesn't even getting sore anymore. My body does not get really sore anymore, especially when I'm in training camp and I'm training every single day. And I'm on my roller, I'm on my SoRite, I'm in my sauna, I'm stretching, I'm sleeping right, I'm supplementing right. Those things go away. So fitness routine, man, just go for a run. Go for a run, see how you feel. Start lifting some weights, because I think if you had to choose between the two, I would go with... It's hard. It's hard. I don't know if I would rather have more cardio or more strength if I was just a everyday average person just trying to reach some fitness goals. So can't really help you on that one. But hopefully the information I gave you works or helps. This is a great question because I love to hear this. I love to hear this question because I have an interesting take. I want to increase my overall endurance in sports, and especially in mixed martial arts. Any advice for somebody to improve their gas tank because I have a bad one? Right in that question is the reason that WSG.Chief has a bad gas tank. In your question, you made a statement that said, I have a bad gas tank. If you choose to believe and your truth is that you have a bad gas tank, you will have a bad gas tank. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're already telling yourself, you're telling me, and you're telling other people on a public platform that you have a bad gas tank, what can you do to improve it? Well, number one, you need to start thinking that you have a good gas tank. Number two, you need to put a plan into place that does involve low base cardio, 40 minutes of a run, 40 minutes of a bike workout, as well as in your sparring, grappling, wrestling, training, mid sessions, consciously think and consciously start bringing your heart rate down, bringing your breath rate down as you're going through the process. Feel yourself, quote unquote, get to that point where you, quote unquote, got out of shape, or you're starting to feel huffing and puffing, or you start to accept the fact that, well, now I'm just going downhill because I trust myself to go downhill. I trust my gas tank to be on empty right now, instead of trusting your gas tank to see you through to the end of the round, to see you through to the end of the workout. So if you get what I'm saying, it's not as much about cardio as it is about the belief of your cardio. And I know this is hard for a lot of people to hear because they want to hear tangible physical things that they can do to increase their cardio. But really, there is no substitute for good old-fashioned, passionate, hard work. Keeping your nose to the grindstone, doing more than what is asked of you, doing more, and hitting the point, WSG, hitting the point of where your gas tank gets to E, and then pushing even further, because the next day you're going to, that moment in which your gas tank gets to E, gets pushed back a little bit further. And then you push yourself a little bit more, and you keep pushing yourself into the outskirts of your comfort zone. It sounds like you're spending too much time inside your comfort zone, as well as spending too much time inside of your mind telling yourself that, well, I just don't have a gas tank. At some point it's going to go. Therefore, your anxiety levels of when it's going to hit, the fear of getting tired, the fear of having a bad cardio, the fear of your opponent having bad cardio, all that stuff plays in. So didn't really give you anything tangible there besides do a little bit more cardio, which I don't need to tell you what cardio is. You know what cardio is. We all know what cardio is. But push yourself further outside your comfort zone than you thought was possible. And you will then not only just build better cardio, but build greater mental toughness towards it. What we got here? A lot of fight prediction stuff. I'm not really going into that stuff. It's a good question. I'll answer this because I get asked this question all the time. So Malik says, is 16 too late to start beginning wrestling to have dreams of wrestling in college? I don't think it is. It depends on your skill level, your willingness to work 365 days a week, 365 days a year, 6 to 7 days a week over the next 3 to 4 years. You're behind. There's no doubt that you're behind. But I started wrestling at 14 years old. So I started wrestling as a freshman in high school. I walked on to the University of Missouri, ended up becoming an All-American. I think it's possible. But when I say I dedicated every single ounce of my being and every single day to the sport of wrestling, I am not joking. That is 100% how I ended up in college, 100% how I ended up as a starter, and how I ended up as an All-American. And I like this question because I get asked all the time, hey, is 18 too late to start MMA? Is 25 too late to start MMA? Is 30 too late to start MMA? Now, this is up to the individual. It's an individual case-by-case basis, and I always bring up the example of Daniel Cormier or King Mo Lawal, who both of them wrestled all the way up until they were 30 years old, started fighting mixed martial arts at 30 years old, and both of them have phenomenal legacies. Daniel Cormier is a couple-time UFC champion, 2 different weight classes. The man accomplished some really great things after starting mixed martial arts at the age of 30. So I don't think there is an actual age. Of course, there's an age limit. You know, you can't say, hey, I'm 52 years old. You think I could be a pro fighter? No, the answer is absolutely not. But it all just depends on your individual circumstances and how much time you can dedicate to your craft. So hopefully that helps. A lot of fight prediction stuff. I'm not going to answer those silly things. How much time do you spend training a day? Do you have time during? Good question. Because obviously the question is about balance. How much time do you spend training a day? Do you have family time scheduled during training camp? So for me, I just have the weekends to see my family, and I work out for about an hour and a half on Saturdays, but half the day Friday, the rest of the day Saturday, half the day on Sunday when I'm with my family, I spend every single moment with them, serving them, hanging out with them, serving my son, going to his practices, try to take my wife out on a date if my weight cut, my diet allows. But throughout the day, I'm training 4 to 5 hours a day. Couple hours in the morning, couple hours in the evening. I got news for you. If there's anybody out there, when I've seen people who say I train 8 hours a day. Some people can do that. I don't know if that's the most efficient or effective way to train. I truthfully don't think that you can really push yourself for 8 hours a day physically without your bones ripping off your tendons and your tendons ripping off your ligaments and all that stuff. Rest and recovery and rejuvenation are probably more important. Especially for me at this point, man, I've been fighting for almost 15 years, 13 years now. So there's not a ton that I can learn. I can brush up on some things, but really taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, soul, spirit are just as important. So 10 a.m. to 12:30, we work out in the morning, and then 5 to 6 p.m. usually at night, 5 to 7, we train at night. So go through some of these questions. There's a lot of them on here. Are you a Sigma? I don't know what that means. Would you play Muhammad? Would you play Muhammad Ali if they offered you the role? Well, the fact that Muhammad Ali was like 6'2", 6'3", and black, and I'm 5'8", 5'9", and white, two completely different body types. I don't think that would ever happen, but of course, if I had that opportunity, I would probably say yes. I don't think anybody would watch the movie because I don't think it would be very realistic. But great question. Figured I'd answer that one because it's really off the wall, but I appreciate it. Good question. I'm going to take it and run with it. I don't, it's a little bit vague. When does super accountability turn into self-destruction? Very, very great question, because number one, self-awareness is very important. And you obviously, Jarrett, have some good self-awareness to think about the question, ponder on the question. Okay, well, I am super hard on myself, and I hold myself accountable. I hold myself to a high standard, but at times it can be self-destructive. And I always make the example, because people call themselves perfectionists, or they're like, oh, I have OCD, or I'm a perfectionist. And I think they think that when they say that, it makes them sound disciplined. It makes them sound like it's a positive character trait, when really it's not. A lot of times self-sabotage and self-destruction is masquerading as perfectionism, because you're never going to be perfect. Promise you right now, every single one of you guys and gals on here will never, ever be perfect. So when we shift our thinking and shift our focus from trying to be perfect to shifting it to trying to just be successful. Listen, last night did not have a great workout. It wasn't perfect, but it was successful. Why was it successful? Well, in the face of adversity, in the face of having a bad workout, I kept my cool. I kept my mindset focused on, I'm getting better no matter what. I'm putting the work in. I'm putting the time in. It's not perfect, but I am going to get a successful workout. Therefore, I got a successful workout. So this fine line between super accountability, extreme ownership, and self-destruction is a fine one to play. And it really comes back to how much do you love yourself and how much confidence do you have in yourself. An individual's self-concept is one of the most important things that they can have at their disposal. A positive self-image will shape every single decision that you make in your entire life. It will be the catalyst that propels you towards or pulls you away from your goals. It's the most important thing that you have. And a lot of times our self-belief, our self-concept, our self-image, our self-esteem is tied to what we think is accountability, or what we think is trying to be perfect, or what we think is, being extremely disciplined. You can never, ever discount how important being disciplined is, and how much do you trust yourself. Can you trust yourself to get the job done? You can only trust yourself to get the job done whenever you consistently get jobs done every single day. Making a list on paper, scratching it out off and saying, I did this, 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 and this. Check mark, got it done on all these boxes. I trusted myself. Now, I trust myself tomorrow a little bit more than I trusted myself today. And then moving into showing yourself grace. Listen, you're going to lose. You're going to fall short. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to feel lazy. You're going to feel unmotivated. There's going to be days when you wake up and you just don't want to get the job done. There's going to be days where you make bad decisions, but you have to show yourself grace. There's going to be days where you fall short and you completely bomb what you were trying to do, but you have to show yourself grace. Showing yourself grace ushers in to humility. It ushers into loving yourself, increasing your self-esteem. Because if you don't show yourself grace, you're just going to find yourself in a self-deprecating spiral that's going to lead to nowhere besides pain and unpleasant circumstances and an unpleasant self-image. I just saw someone say, Mike, 550, favorite place to eat in Nashville. I'll go ahead and answer that one, because I love Cane Prime. Cane Prime, best steakhouse on the planet. If you Google M Street, like M Street, Michael Street, M Street restaurants in Nashville, they have Virago, which is sushi. They have Moto, which is Italian. They have Cane Prime, which is a steakhouse. There's another one. They have Whiskey Kitchen, which is a bar. Not exactly a great dinner spot, but a cool little bar to go to. And what else is there? Dadgummit. Those are my favorite ones. San Anejo, which is Mexican. So they pretty much have all the different food groups or food ethnicities or types of restaurant you could ever want. But I'm going to answer one more question. Hop off here. Scroll and find a random one. Well, dadgum. Well, dadgum. How do you deal with lower lumbar strains? I don't really know what a lower lumbar strain is. Sounds like a strain of the lower back. I don't know. You can't really strain. I guess by muscle. Therefore, yeah, you might have a low back strain. You guys have heard me talk about SoRite 1,000 different times. It's a tool, a recovery tool that actually changed my life. And I was actually talking this morning to my financial advisor, my wealth advisor. His name's Justin. I actually wrestled with him in college, and he was talking about how his back pain, he had an issue with his groin and then an issue with his hamstring after working out, and it really threw his back off, and he can't stand up without his back hurting like heck. And I said, well, dude, it sounds like your psoas muscle is extremely, extremely tight. It needs to be loosened up. It needs to be massaged. It needs to be lengthened. For any of you wrestlers out there who have had low back pain, just constant chronic low back pain, you've been to the doctors tells you degenerative disc, herniated disc, bulging disc, arthritis. I was told all these things. They said I need to go under the knife. They said I needed to get a back. True. My spine is completely fine. My low back now feels phenomenal because I've been diligent on my SoRite every single day. Google psoas muscle, PSOAS. It's a muscle in the front that connects to the spine from right here in the kind of the middle of your stomach, lower part of your stomach, down to your femur, down to your hip capsules, or down to your iliac crest, the big wings on your hips. And it messes with, if this is your butt, it messes with whether your butt is tucked under or sticking out. My butt was sticking straight out, which was a very painful pelvic tilt. After loosening up and lengthening my psoas muscle, it literally changed my life. So that's how I would talk about lumbar strains. I would start there first. You can go to so-right.com, pick you up one, and get after it. Be diligent with it. The results aren't going to take care of themselves. You can't be upset at the results you didn't get by the disciplines that you didn't put in and the work that you didn't put in. So, love y'all. Seriously. November 6th, we go to war. Do I like Topo Chico? Absolutely, especially with the twist of lime. What do you say to yourself before the fight, Michael? Go out there and punch him in the face more than he punches you in the face. MIZZOU. Anyways,